believe that coming up to the Basanga Plains and catching some sable up here and getting them back to South Africa will be of great value to the game industry in South Africa. Basanga Plains is a very vast open area that floods in summer, and in winter they're big plains. And what happens is the animals move onto the plains where we can locate them quite easily out the helicopter, but adjacent to the plains are big woodland areas. And once the animals go in that, it's very, very hard to see them from the air. And that's been a challenge, because you can know that there's a group of sable there that you've seen from the vehicle, but when you start flying they just disappear into the thick forest and you can't get them out of that. Because we've done the initial groundwork, from there we fly with a helicopter, manage to find an adult cow in the herd, we dart her, land, put on the radio collar, release her, and once she's met up with the rest of the herd, we then go in with vehicles and track and see which areas they're in.
Not even a squeak.
Build our boma, and then from there we use the radio collar out the helicopter to locate the herd and bring them back into the boma so we can have a successful capture and we catch all the animals.
The relationship between South Africa and Zambia when it comes to wildlife stretches way back. It's not just the sable operation. We have the rhino population in this country that is entirely comes from South Africa. In total we are getting 100 animals, 70 female sables and 30 males. This process has taken a little bit of time. We have been here for almost 3 weeks now, and we're still doing it. And we're making sure we do the capture in a very organized and professional way, taking into concerns of how much we are harvesting from this area, so that we also just don't rip this area but also leave it sustainable, but also taking into consideration the welfare issues of the animals that are being captured.
So according to government protocol, no capture can take place without the state vet being there. So basically the role of the state vet is to be there to make sure that all procedures are adhered to.
Right. There's 7 bulls here, Ricky, and 14 females.
Treatments administered, as well as vaccines, and blood samples are collected for diagnosis. And the state vet is there to make sure these animals are cleared from the diseases and issued with a stock movement permit to move from the park to the quarantine center in Lusaka.
My part of in this whole operation is that I'm the contract capture operator. I've been asked to come and handle the logistics and the actual process of catching these animals. And as a veterinarian owning the capture team, I'm also in the privileged position to be in charge of the welfare of the animal as well. So I'm handling a dual role in this case. We need a prevailing wind blowing into the mouth of the boma, and we need to identify the location of the herd. We've got a radio collar on one of the females in the herd, and when we are ready to catch, we'll try and identify the location, and then the chopper will bring the animals in.
I'm one vet of a 5-vet team. I do the recovery on the ground, and I do the processing, so I draw the blood and I administer all the medicines and process the blood. We draw three tubes. We send away for foot and mouth disease. Foot and mouth disease has to be tested before the animals can move from Kafue to Lusaka. Especially for foot and mouth, definitely all clear. The state vet from the area, Dr. Ricky, he hasn't seen a case of foot and mouth, and he's been working here for the last 11 years. So no foot and mouth, and especially in sable. All the sable, when darted, are treated with a broad spectrum antibiotics for the dart wound. We then vaccinate them for the clostridial species, as well as for botulism and anthrax, and then we give them a multivitamin just to assist with the stress, and then we also give them sedatives to adjust to the new boma. At Lusaka we'll do a lot more tests involving a whole panel of tests, including bovine tuberculosis, brucellosis, Theileria, trypanosoma, and a couple of others which are required.
I make sure protection of all the people from predators and everything, and even the wildlife itself. And then secondly, I have to make sure on behalf of ZAWA, the capturing team gets the right species and the right numbers of animals they have to take from Busanga Plains, and then make sure they load, and then sometimes make escorts in terms of roadblocks, explaining to government to tell them this is what is happening.
We had an interesting case a few days ago where there was a lioness with a few cubs close, that's been close to the boma, and normally at night what we do is we have a lot of wood packed around the bomas, and we light the fires to keep the animals away. There's also an electric fence around the perimeter fence around the bomas, and yeah, we normally just shoo them away. It's negative, positive, positive, positive. It's negative for the animal. It's positive for us.
My involvement basically is doing all the hard work. No, my involvement is just basically helping with any groundwork, processing the sable, making sure they've got water, checking up on them. Basically just like farming, just looking after animals. I've never loaded sable like cattle before. You learn interesting techniques of using gates covered with plastic, so they're calmer than well, as opposed to just going in there as a human. Lots of small things that would make a big difference in the condition of the animal, how much it stresses.
The capture operation was also a little bit bigger than just doing the capture out here in Busanga. We got the University of Pretoria involved in conjunction with the University of Zambia, and they will be taking samples that can be stored for long-term research on this project, as well as to prove that the animals do not have contagious diseases that South Africa could be worried about. And in doing that, the Zambian University also invited some students along, and they've had some very, very valuable work experience on game up in Zambia, which the guys would not normally have.
My most interesting experience since I came to the camp has been setting up the bomas, which is quite amazing, and also how animals are strategically driven into the bomas. That is awesome. That is something that you don't get in class.
The experience here in Busanga Plain has been awesome, very excellent. It's my first time to be in such a capture, to be part of this team, a great team, and the learning experience is just superb.
Game capture is part of the curriculum, and it's part of the curriculum of the veterinary medicine at the University of Zambia, and it's one of the fields, the areas which is underutilized in Zambia. So being part of this capture has been great because it has given us an opportunity to learn more.
In summary, the operation has been a pretty fantastic success. We've been caught a little bit by surprise by the shortage of animals to work with, and also the high number of bulls in the herds. So we've had to really look hard to find the quota for females that is required for capture. It's also been getting very hot in the last few days. Summer is coming soon, so we can only work in the early mornings for the drives, the helicopter drives, and late evenings and early mornings for the processing. So yeah, we're kind of limited, but we're almost done.